sick of this weekend. I don't even want to hear it.
Welcome back to This Takes the Cake out of our Palm Beach office.
Yay.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Jackie from Palm Beach, and I'm here from Alex, our Colorado Aspen office.
Yay.
How do you like the humidity? Welcome to Florida.
Well, my hair has grown about 3 sizes since being here, but
So,
take a shot every time Jackie hits the mic.
Yeah, we should do that. That'd be awesome. So, yeah, you just came down on vacation.
Yes.
So we decided to do the podcast in Florida, which is really exciting. We've all done them in Myrtle Beach, but now we're starting to do them out of our Palm Beach office, which is super exciting. So, Alex, tell us about Aspen, because I know it's very different than Florida.
Oh, yes, it's very different. We got some snow within the past couple of days, which
now I'm
is
jealous.
incredible. Yeah, very fun.
So in Florida, when it turns 73, we get out the Uggs. I'm wearing a sweater because it went down to 80.
I know. I saw you in your purple sweater, which it looks so cute, but I would be dying right now.
I had to turn the AC down a little bit to wear it.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
So tell me about your franchise. How did you
Yes.
get into this? Because I know we've been over how I have, and I'll touch on it again because I think it's really neat and interesting how we all get into this wedding business and this franchising and how we all meet and kind of connect. And I know I tell everybody we're on a group text and we are probably missing like 30,000 text messages a day. So tell me about how you got into, and you're in Aspen, and it's got to be so amazing.
It is. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Well, I originally interned with SMB. That's how I started.
With Sarah?
I was.
In Myrtle Beach office. Okay.
In Myrtle Beach. I was an intern with Sarah in Myrtle Beach the summer of 2020. Believe it or not, it was very interesting. I feel like I did it with Dallas. Dallas and I were interns together.
Dallas.
I know, me too.
Shout
She's the
out
best.
to
Shout out Dallas. But we were interns together, and I feel like we had a very unusual experience being intern. Like the interns that Sarah probably has now are not doing the same things that we were doing.
It was
as
a different
interns.
world,
Oh,
and
totally.
learning to adapt to that world and to change all the rules and having markings on the floor where you could only dance 6 feet apart, and everybody wore masks, and it was I always said like 2020 was like boot camp for weddings,
Right.
and everybody was learning together.
Oh yeah, I mean nobody knew
really
what the heck was
knew
going on,
what to do, what the
Right.
future held. I know everybody was scared, and I remember my last wedding before the world shut down, and it was one of those where we were kind of like, they handed out antibacterial, and that was like the hottest thing to hand out.
Yeah.
But it was a different world.
Yeah.
So how was that interning during 2020? Was it like, you didn't have a lot of weddings, obviously?
No, we didn't really have a lot of weddings. We did a couple proposals. We did a few weddings. And then we basically were just continuing to plan as if nothing else was changing, like to plan the future weddings as if nothing else was going to be different. So we were just trying to do our best. But we, like, Dallas and I went on meeting, like I ran a tasting meeting with a couple. I wasn't obviously going to be there for their wedding because it was going to be after I had already left. Didn't know these people, didn't know this venue. I mean, I was just there for like 3 months.
Rip off the Band-Aid, let's roll.
Exactly. And so Sarah thought that she had gotten sick. And so since nobody knew what was going on, she was like, I'm just going to hang out at home. Yeah, like I'm going to stay at home.
Being safe.
Exactly. And Dallas was living with her grandparents. And so it was going to be like really not good if her grandparents got sick. But anyways, I got thrown into this meeting, this tasting with this couple that I had never, like I said, never met before, never been to this venue, never ran a meeting on my own at that point. You know, I was a junior in college.
Oh, God.
So I was still very fresh on the scene, but it was good. You know, every time they asked me a question, fake it till you make it, baby.
That is our motto.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till
when
you
you
make
start
it.
out and you're not knowing what's going on, the last thing someone wants to hear is, I don't know.
Exactly.
So you have
you
to
never say,
you
I don't
find
know.
out and you roll with the punches, and it always works out because our gut instincts in this, you know, as planners, it comes out, and you just work with it. I think in 2020 it was work with what you have type of a thing. I mean, we did our best. Was that how you fell in love with it, or were you kind of like, hell no?
Kind of, yeah. No, I was. So I had a family friend that was an intern like the summer or two before me, and she was talking about how great it was and how great Sarah was and how like amazing the whole process was. And so I applied, obviously got it. But ever since then, like,
amazing.
It really wasn't any other question. Of course, I did other things between now and opening my own franchise location, or then and opening my own franchise location, but it just never was the same.
That's amazing. And I know we've touched on it in past podcasts of how I met Sarah and how I got into franchising. I had met Sarah completely unrelated. We were looking for a boat and she had a boat for sale and she was selling it through a broker. And the broker turned out to be shady, and she ended up getting our phone numbers and calling us and saying, hey, if you guys want to come up and do it, let's do it. And we pretty much said road trip and went, and it was kind of like we waved, we said goodbye, we had dinner that night, and it was like, okay, well, thanks for everything. I'll keep in touch with you on Facebook. And it was like, I would say maybe a couple months later, I had a horrible day at work. I was a horrible, just a really rough day, and I wasn't feeling very depressed and down. And I literally said, I texted her and I was like, hey, let me know if you ever want to expand to Palm Beach. I know on the website I'd done a little recon and it said Fort Lauderdale. And I'm like, well, I'm not in Fort Lauderdale. And I don't know if I want to work weddings or evenings and weekends again and things like that. And I went ahead and I reached out to her and she said, let me do some research and I'll get back to you. I said, okay. And she did. And she goes, I'm going to come down. And I was like, okay. And it was like one of those things that it was like, we went and I was her bride and we went and seen some venues and found out some pricing of other planners in the area. And she said, if you want to do this, we can do this. And now it's been 6 amazing years.
I can't believe you've gotten 6 years under your belt already. I'm so excited.
6 years and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weddings, which is amazing. And it's just every year gets better.
Right.
You think you hit the peak and it just gets better every year, which is really exciting. So tell me about, you've obviously not lived in Aspen forever.
No. I've been in the area for a little over 2 years now.
Okay.
Yep.
How is that? I've been to Colorado once.
Yeah.
It was like a different world.
What time of year did you go? Because that makes
June.
a big difference. Okay,
so I
that's
saw
a
the
good
snow
time to
in
go.
the mountains.
Yep.
But we were laying by the pool watching the snow.
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
that's like one of my favorite times as far as summer is concerned, because it never really gets above like 85, and there's no humidity in Colorado.
There's no humidity.
So like it's perfect all the time. You'll get an afternoon shower like almost every day, but it lasts for 10 minutes and then it's gone.
But I think I have friends who live out there, and they always tell me like, even when it's snowing, it's a different cold. It's not cold. Like you can wear a t-shirt. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like I was born in Ohio, and when it's snowing, it like hits you in the face cold.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, you can wear a t-shirt. It's in the snow. It's fine.
There are some snows like that. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's magical out there. I ended up out there. I've always wanted to live in the mountains my whole life. That's what I said I was going to do.
How'd that transition happen?
Yeah. So I went on vacation. My family and I are really big skiers. So my family and I went out on.
I would break my neck.
I'll teach you. We'll when everybody comes out to Aspen,
I can barely
I'll do
walk.
ski lessons. But no, we went out there on a ski trip. I had always been in love with it, but I was kind of in an in-between stage from after college and trying to figure out what I wanted to go next. I always knew I wanted to move outside of North Carolina because that's where I'm originally from.
Yeah.
But we went out there on vacation. I fell in love and packed up and moved out 2 months later.
Wow.
Yep. And just said, this is where I'm going.
I mean, talk about being spontaneous.
Yeah.
Let's roll.
I applied for the job that I first got when I was out there while I was on vacation.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I tried to go and interview while I was on vacation with my family, but then couldn't find the place. I didn't have anything set up. I was just going to walk in the office and be like, hi, my name's Alex. I just applied for this job.
I just put my vacation bag by the door.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah. Packed up, moved out 2 months later, and been there ever since.
So when you went out there, were you like, oh my God, this would be a great place to expand SMB? Or were you just like immediately drawn to the event industry?
I think at that point in my life, I didn't think that I had what it took to be an SMB
it's a little
owner.
intimidating in the beginning.
It's very intimidating. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you own your own business. You run your own stuff, you know, like.
And there's a lot to this because I was like, oh, it's wedding planning. I've seen the movie. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot to this. And like you mentioned, behind the scenes, the business aspect of it. That I think a lot of people are learning as they go, because who else has said they've run a business or owned a business before?
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you don't currently own it anymore, did you sell it or were you that unsuccessful?
Right.
So it's one of those things where there's a lot of behind the scenes that we kind of have to figure out as we go. And, when you get into overhead and offices, but it's exciting and it's never a dull moment.
No.
Same thing with weddings. I think every wedding's the same, but every wedding's very, very different.
Absolutely.
Every family dynamic is different.
100%.
So I think it's totally a different kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Tell me about your location versus my location. I know me and Lauren have touched on this a little bit because Lauren's in Chicago and she does the city and she does a lot of the, getting cities and traffic and things like that.
Totally.
And I'm completely opposite of you. Like your elevation alone is different.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're like as sea level as we could.
You dig a hole a foot down and we're in the ocean.
Right. But I mean, up there, I've got like if I were to be on top of Aspen, I think that my elevation would be in the like 10 to 11,000.
Oh,
yeah.
That's high.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that comes big into weddings when it gets to like the party part, because people that are coming from sea level or anywhere outside of the elevation.
Does the elevation sickness get into play?
Oh, elevation sickness in general, yeah. But even when you're consuming alcohol, one drink at elevation equates roughly 2 to 2.5 drinks at sea level.
Oh, that's cheap dating out there.
Yeah.
Becca, that's cheap dating out there. Becca's
Come to
moving
Aspen.
to Aspen.
Yeah, there we go.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so we always I had a couple that actually had a sign made to put on the bar, because the majority of people were coming from Chicago actually.
Oh yeah.
And
it's got to be a bit of a warning because you have to hydrate.
Yeah. Oh, and hydration is huge. Like if you drink too much, you're from sea level, you drink too much, and you're not drinking water, you're toast. Sorry.
So when I went to Aspen, we had little kids. We didn't drink. And I remember everybody telling me you have to hydrate.
Yeah.
And we did every day and I never got sick. Now, when I went to Gatlinburg over the summer, we were with friends. The kids were older.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I could not figure out why I felt so bad the last 3 days of the trip, and I was like, I don't understand why I feel so bad. The only way to describe it is I felt like I was pregnant, which clearly not ever gonna happen. But I felt like I was pregnant. I felt very nauseous. I had a headache. I was very tired. I was very lethargic and weak feeling.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't and I said, oh my God, I think I have elevation sickness. And that's only Gatlinburg,
right?
But it's still the mountains.
Oh yeah,
compared
absolutely.
to us. I mean,
absolutely.
Our biggest hills are golf courses here. That's as high as we go. We really don't have much elevation here.
But yeah, no, I mean, I felt like I was going to get sick for every day for the first 3 months that I lived out there. 3 months.
And then you just adjust.
And then you just adjust.
So being here for a week on vacation, are you going to have to readjust?
I am.
Really?
Yeah. Even when I go down to Denver
vacation
for a weekend and back up to the mountains, I still I get a slight headache,
Yeah.
It's not as bad as when you first get there from wherever else you're coming from, but from a small amount of time removed, you definitely still have to
almost
adjust.
Something you want to advise your brides to put on their wedding website.
Oh yeah, I definitely do tell them,
because that's something that you want them to be aware of and know, and their guests are coming in from out of town who thinking they're partying in the mountains, which I get. So you're coming out of wedding season now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm coming into it.
Right.
Which was very interesting in October because of the hurricanes.
I know.
The tornadoes.
Yep.
And I've been here 30 years, aging myself, but I've been here 30 years and I've been through hurricanes. It's not a big deal. We know how to handle it. We have the wedding insurance. It's not an issue. The tornadoes that came out of the last one was I can deal with a hurricane. Tornadoes are savage.
Right.
And that was we knew a girl. It wasn't one of our weddings, but she was getting married the next day and the roof was gone on her venue.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It was one of those heart-wrenching things because I still drive the street and I see all these houses boarded up.
Oh my
you can
goodness.
see the path of the tornado. And it's just I've never had to deal with tornadoes. We always hear, tornadoes are going to spin off the hurricane, but we've never seen it.
Right.
But to see it from my backyard go by.
Oh, the videos that you were sending in the group chat were insane.
I was freaking out.
I have never experienced anything like that.
I started drinking.
Yeah.
Immediately. I was get in our safe room and also bring a cooler because I don't know how to handle this.
Right.
It was very, planners have a plan.
That's a plan for sure.
Shoes, snacks, cooler.
Yep.
Alcohol. Please bring that into the safe room now. When our phones went off and it went crazy, we were like, whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. So we were talking about, before we even started recording, we were talking about centerpieces and iconic views from our locations. I'm obviously very beach, very, tropical, even very coastal, and coastal is very different than tropical. How is it now? I've seen your pictures from your weddings because you started booking like crazy.
It was kind of amazing.
I saw, and I was jealous.
Oh,
and I was like, all right, Aspen, I see you coming out of the works.
I tried so hard, man.
But you went crazy, right off the bat.
Yeah.
People just lit up for you.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Thank you.
So,
thanks.
Every office we have is just so incredibly successful.
Oh, absolutely.
And it happens so much faster now than it did 6 years ago. I remember when I booked my first wedding, it took me months to book it.
Yeah.
But we're so much bigger than we were.
Oh, and like the marketing that we have is so much better. You know, like everything has just been so heightened. I mean, even from when I was an intern in 2020, the differences between that and like what we're able to do now. Like the podcast wasn't a thing back then.
I know,
like
that podcast is a thing.
I know.
It's so cool.
I love it. But no, it definitely was it was a very successful first summer, which I'm very thankful for.
So tell me about those weddings. Were you like freaking out? Because I remember Sarah flew out there.
Well, she flew out to do my styled shoot with me prior to my first wedding.
Which was incredible because it was like rustic but glamorous and beautiful.
Thank you.
It was gorgeous.
Thanks so much. Well, and that's kind of like what you were just saying as far as everybody has the like coastal tropical theme down here. Everybody wants that like rustic mountain charm up there, you know? So like, if you guys have a bunch of weddings that are like blue and seashells, then we have a lot of like green and like antlers,
burnt oranges and things like that.
Wood everywhere.
I did do a wedding, and their unity ceremony, they branded a deer hide.
Oh,
that was a first.
Yeah,
and it was. I love that it was reflective of them as a couple.
Exactly.
So I kind of was like, I was here for it. Like I kind of was like, that's unique and it's different.
Right.
And then for the cocktail hour, they flipped over the deer hide that was branded, and everybody signed it.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's super cool to like have in your home.
Absolutely.
And he's a huge hunter, and she goes hunting with him, so it's perfect and reflective of them. But I was kind of like, huh. Yeah. I would have never even thought to do something like that.
No.
But that's something you guys could use.
Oh, oh my gosh.
But you have like moose and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be a big hide.
And wolves.
Oh, no.
They just reintroduced wolves into the community.
They brought them in?
Mm-hmm. Well, they were taken.
Unsafe.
They had like, and I might be incorrect, but from my understanding, they had migrated away, but they're an important part of the ecosystem, and so they brought some back. I could be totally wrong in that. But
no, that is written in the law books of Colorado.
Yeah.
So I feel about wolves how you probably feel about alligators.
Yeah.
They're in my backyard.
Right.
They're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they look at my dog like he's a little lamb chop, which I'm not a fan of.
Wolves would look at my dog the same way too. Yeah.
No. No. He's in my backyard. He's back there.
Out.
He's back there. The kids have named him.
Out.
He looks at us, and same thing like Savage. Like, I can deal with a shark in the ocean, but alligators are like prehistoric, and they will eat you. They don't care.
For sure.
Sharks, they don't really bother you as much when I dive, but I mean, I'm not going to poke them either.
Right.
So oceans, beaches, suns. Yeah. So that's another question. And I'm reading through this, but I'm coming up with more questions because I'm truly interested.
Yeah.
How do you deal with, because you have a major time change from the East Coast. So when you have weddings with a lot of guests coming in from Chicago, how do you deal with the time change? Like not only transportation schedules, I mean, I guess it's fine for you guys, but like people flying in with jet lag are going to be like, wait, transportation's coming at what time? And that's our time. And not only that sunset time, does that affect you guys at all?
So it doesn't necessarily affect me as much because that's just the typical time zone that I'm in, you know? But we definitely hear it from the guests. You know, we definitely are like...
Because you're supposed to change the moon and the stars.
Right, exactly. Yep. Wait, I have a guy for that, actually. Yeah. Do you want his phone number?
Absolutely. Let me check on that for you. Yeah. That's Sarah's line. Let me check on that for you.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. Let me check on that for you. But no, I mean, we definitely hear it. Like, we'll be like, well, dinner's going to be at 6 o'clock. Well, that's 8 o'clock back at home for me. That's way too late, you know, like... It's like, all right, well, do you want to talk to the bride and groom about that?
I mean, we can't serve your East Coast guest earlier.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love that, though.
Yeah.
Do you find when your destination couples come out, they do like a whole week? Because I would 100% do a whole week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not going to fly out a weekend and come back.
No.
That's amazing.
No. I mean, I have a few, actually from this area, bride and groom coming out to Colorado for their destination wedding. And they want it to be, they're going to come, like week of wedding, I'm sure that they'll probably be out there on like Tuesday or Wednesday and stay all the way through. I don't know, the whole guest party probably won't stay that long for work and that kind of stuff, but yeah.
Do you do a lot of the weddings like up in the mountains?
Yes.
So do you find when you do rentals and stuff, is that an issue? Or, because I've seen those roads out there and they're a little sketch.
So the good thing though is we have like 2 or 3 rental companies in the area and like that's it. So the guys, our delivery guys, they're all really great, and they know what they're getting into. You know, like they've been to the venues 15,000 times just because we don't have that many options and we don't have that many venues either.
Yeah.
So like they've all done it a million times.
Yeah.
So they pretty much know what they're working with. The biggest thing though is navigating the weather. So because we have a lot of like canyon highways that
like through a canyon?
Through a canyon.
Oh.
Yeah. And so like if it snows too much in the winter, the canyon can close and you're just SOL. Or like if you have to go over a pass and the pass closes, sorry. Like there's no other road to get around that. So they have to plan that
ahead. So that like week of email where you send out the weather conditions and what you're expecting, that's like crucial for you guys. I mean, it's crucial for every wedding because same with us with rain plans and things like that. You don't get a lot of rain out there, do you? Though
we get a lot of rain in the summer.
Oh, in the summertime.
Yeah, in the summer.
So summer your season?
Yes.
So do you do any like winter wedding? When do you like, I know you're coming out of season now, but when do you like do a hard stop?
I would probably say like around November.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's when we're gearing up for season. So ours we slowed down this season, but we never stopped because we still had weddings in June, July, August, and September.
Right.
But October is like bye family, you know. Yeah. Whereas you guys are coming out and I have like a lot more free time during the summer, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, and it's actually kind of crazy because we like within the towns, all of the locals deem it as an off season. So like October to probably October, end of September into like late November, nothing's going to be open out there. Like all of the, like even some of the hotels even close. Because like there's just nobody other than the local people out there.
But like even the skiers and things like that aren't coming out?
No, because the ski resorts typically don't open until around Thanksgiving.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then again in when ski season ends. So in like April, May to when stuff starts ramping up again for the summer.
Oh, that's like, crazy. That's awesome.
It's pretty dead out there.
So, and ours is so, it's so funny how ours is so different. Like I always say, like I could plan a wedding anywhere.
Right.
But you'd put me in a mountain and then be like, the canyon we can't get through. I'd be like, what now?
Yep. Excuse me?
Say it again. Yeah. And then if they put you on a beach, you're going to melt.
Yeah. Oh,
and then you're going to be like,
and I'm going to complain about it the whole time.
You're going to be complaining along with the guests.
Yes, I will.
Do you find, and we do it a lot here. So there's definitely a difference in our decor from coastal to tropical. Like you can do tropical, which is like birds of paradise and pinks and blushes and oranges. And then we do like a coastal, which is more like white orchids and greenery and palm fronds and things like that. Do your ceremony cocktail reception views have to be incredible? Oh, and ours are incredible in a different way.
Exactly.
So, I think it's super, like I always tell my couples, like when you have an incredible backdrop for a venue, whether it be ceremony, cocktail, reception, you don't need to go crazy on decor. Do you find the same thing for you guys?
Absolutely. Yes.
Because I don't think anybody's going to walk in that wedding and go, oh, she did low centerpieces when you're looking at the ocean in the Bahamas or the ocean in Palm Beach type of a thing. I think it makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
And I feel like when you spend a little bit more to get that venue with the views, you're going to end up saving a little bit on decor.
On decor. Absolutely.
Because people fly in and they want to see that.
Yes.
They look at that and they're like,
right. If it's a true destination wedding, they want to see what all there is to offer in that destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what are your, do you like, ours is orchids and birds of paradise. What are your like main decor florals look like?
So we have we use a lot of greenery. So like a lot of eucalyptus.
We do that, yeah.
Yep. A lot of like pine.
Pine would be pretty.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how are your bridal party dresses and decor, or not decor, but dresses and style and things like that? Is it like, do they do more of the rich, bold colors and style, like the photography rich and bold, or do they do it more like light and airy? Because I could see rich and bold out there.
Rich and bold for sure, absolutely. But we also have a lot of that, like, I don't want to use the word boho, but that like golden tone
I know
over
what you're
everything.
talking about.
As far as photography goes, there's a lot of the like golden tones because it just matches with the natural landscape so well. Yes. Which I personally love. I think it looks great.
Oh yeah, but, I love boho because we've done boho in the Bahamas, and it's more of like the wicker hanging lights and things like that look like those beehives and stuff, and the like juke rugs laying around. Oh God, I hit it again. I'm so
all right. Everybody, take a shot.
Next podcast, it's on. Definitely. But we've done that a lot where it's like these like poofs in the sand and things like that, which I think is great. A lot of things I run into with issues is like, I have a couples who want to do a beach ceremony or a beach cocktail hour, but they still want it to be very formal. And I'm like, nobody's wearing their heels in the sand.
Yeah, no.
Nobody's going to go around and they're going to take their shoes off because you know, and I know you wear shoes in the sand, you're going to be that rubbing and you're getting a blister by the end of the night.
No, that sounds
so
terrible.
we run into a lot of where it's like, how do you keep it elevated, but every guest has their shoes off? And I'm like, you have to tell them like it's coastal elegance. It's Palm Beach chic. There's a style to it. How do you do that? Do you have any issues with like sandals or people wearing high heels in the mountains, or do they have to climb any type of terrain to get to the venue?
There are definitely some venues that have like a terrain aspect to it. You know, like we've got one that I've been to that it's all like mulch. So it's not necessarily terrain, but it's very ranch theme. Yeah. And you've got a lot of that mulch. So any guest in like pointed heels,
it's going to be rough. You're going to sink.
Yeah.
And even the heel stoppers won't help in that.
No. No. And then if it's a winter wedding, like, cause that still happens. And like, they still do weddings during the winter on top of the ski resort, the top of the mountain. I want to do a ski top mountain winter wedding so bad where everybody like skis down after it's over. That's like, I want to do that so bad.
Is there a way to take the little thing down?
The gondola down?
Yes, I'll do that. I'll be on that.
And there will still be guests that'll take the gondola down, so you won't be alone.
I always feel like it's hard to, and this is just probably because I was essentially raised in Florida. So I was born in Ohio, so I know the whole snowsuits, cold weather, big jackets, thing like that. Now I see it in New York a lot where they still look, even though they're wearing a lot of clothes, and they still look beautiful and elevated. And I feel like I look like a sack of potatoes when I dress for cold weather.
I do as well.
So I feel like, how do you do that? Like, I guess you just know like, you're going to be cold and you have to wear a jacket, hang up. They have coat. Do you have coat closets and coat racks at venues?
Yeah.
Whoa, we don't even have that. It's like, we don't even have a coat closet.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's like your jackets. That's like the thickest that you'll ever need out here is just like a thin, like quilted type jacket.
And it's funny because even Myrtle Beach, they're like wearing tights with their dresses and boots. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wasn't going to do the dresses because like, it's just impractical for Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see that.
I mean, I've got long sleeve jumpsuits and I've got short sleeve jumpsuits.
And we do dry fit. We do dry fit because they're like golf shorts. If we're at a country club, even a hotel on the water, I have like black sandals to wear at the beach or you know, like my Tory Burch sandals at the beach. But we do a lot of dry fit, you know, the skirts, we do pants, depending on the time of year.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, we're running 7 to 8 miles. You're running 7 to 8 miles up a freaking mountain. So
exactly.
You have to be comfortable, and it's a balance between being comfortable and also you're at a wedding and you're at an event.
You still need to look nice.
And we talked about this on a podcast with one of my photographers. You know, he was asking what's one of the things you look for in a new vendor. Communication is top notch. If they're responding to my emails, if they're responding to me, if they're, you know, in tune with everything, great. But also we've literally been at weddings where I didn't even know the videographer was a videographer because he's wearing shorts, like boat shoes and a button down shirt. And I'm like, you're wearing shorts to a wedding. Even if you're not a vendor, who wears shorts to a wedding?
Exactly.
And I didn't even know he's the vendor. And I'm like, you don't look professional. You look like a wedding crasher, to be honest. Yeah. With a camera.
Right.
So I think it's important that for us as professionals to always look professional, no matter where we're doing this.
Absolutely.
And it's funny when you came in, you were like looking at our uniforms, and I have teal uniforms, and you were like, these are cute. That's for our Bahamas or our Key Largo, Key West weddings, because I don't want to wear black in the Keys. You want to look like where you're getting married. You know, the Bahamas, we wore teal dresses with our embroidery in white, and we had white crossbody bags with our embroidery on it. So it's definitely an adjustment of where you're at. Absolutely. Which I think is important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think we touched on this a little bit, but what's the best times to host weddings out there versus here?
You mean like time of year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably say
what's temperature wise? Like, tell me that.
I mean, in the summer, like I said, it never really gets above 85. But if you're like, for example, my house is about 30 minutes west of like Vail Beaver Creek.
Oh, wow.
And so if you're down there, the elevation is a little bit lower. We're not we're at about 6,000 where my house is. But if you go all the way up to Beaver Creek or Vale, you're going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 to 11,000 elevation. And on top of that mountain, the weather changes so much faster.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. The weather front can come in and you'll be getting rain at the top, and then everybody at the bottom just sees sunny skies. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. But that definitely plays a big role, because if you're using the gondola as transportation to get everybody to the top.
I'm on the gondola.
Yeah.
I'm not skiing down.
Well, even in the summer,
and let me go, but I'm definitely not skiing.
Even in the summer, though, everybody will ride the gondola up and back down to have a wedding on the top of the mountain, because you get the best views up there. But if you have lightning coming in during when you guys are all supposed to be coming down, or going up, you're not going anywhere.
So do you have delayed on ceremony at that time? Like
you would, yeah. If it's in the beginning of everything, you would definitely have just a delay on ceremony. And I mean, there's nothing that we can do about that. Yeah. If it's the end of the night and it's supposed to be when everybody's coming back down, typically they'll have like cars stationed up there. Like the employees will have cars stationed up there if they see that it's going to be a chance of us not being able to make it down.
I like that there's a plan to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's like we've had ceremony delay just because of transportation, but like then she's like, oh, well, can we just extend the night? And I'm like, not really working that way.
Yeah, we still have to let these vendors go home.
Exactly. Yeah. When you're looking at views for a venue and when you're taking a couple to a venue, how do you, like for me, I like beautiful views everywhere. But for me, and this probably is more of a personal opinion, and obviously my couples make their choices, but a ceremony, you're in ceremony. I want a great ceremony view, but you're in ceremony for 30 minutes max.
Roughly, yeah.
Cocktail hour and reception. You spend an hour in cocktail hour. You spend 4 hours in reception. Right. I feel like that's where I want my views. I don't really lean towards a venue that has a beautiful ceremony view and a beautiful cocktail hour view and then a reception with no windows.
Right.
Especially with the beach or the palm trees or like I look at all that for your photo aspect and your video aspect. I really want, plus I love seeing sunset. I love the couple being able to see sunset. When you're in a closed reception space with no windows, how do you guide your clients that way?
Yeah, so I think like ceremony, everybody wants at least one portion of the evening to be outside if possible.
Yeah, I can see
at
that.
least, just because that's where you're going to get the best mountain views.
And mine are like, dear God, not outside. Please. Not outside.
So yeah, I mean, one portion of the night always want it to be outside, whether that's ceremony, and then you go inside for the reception. That's fine, because then we typically it speaks still in the infrastructure of the venue. Everybody tries to have that like rustic mountain charm. So even if you're inside, you're still going to know that you're in the mountains just because of the way that the venue has presented itself.
That's very cool.
But if you wanted to do a ceremony inside and then reception and stuff more in the, you have the large windows. Yeah. If a venue has a view, it's going to have windows. So they're going to be probably more than likely ceiling to floor.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So you still get the view no matter kind of wherever you are. And even if you have a lot of transitioning throughout the night with the guests, they're going to get a glimpse of it at one point or another throughout the whole evening.
I love that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
We talked about the elements of decor and things like that. Do you have anything as far as do you have anything that's more challenging to you as far as we have, coping, we have windy weather and we have, sun exposure when we were setting up Bahamas weddings or when we even were setting up Key Largo weddings on the beach. I even had rash guards made, SPF 50 shirts for my team to wear and hats for my team to wear. So we were still in some element of a uniform, but also not kind of lost amongst the crowd of looking like slobs setting up.
Right.
Do you have anything any type of thing to deal with as far as that with unpredictable windiness and that's not typical of your weather?
I would say windiness is definitely an aspect, just because if you are on top of that mountain, the wind's going to come ripping across.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or if you're in the valley, if you're in the canyon, you're going to get wind that's running through the canyon itself. So you have that more of it's strong and it's tunneled.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because it's staying it's within the mountain range. So it's tunneled and it's going to be stronger than it may feel.
You ever have anything
else.
that's random that you didn't expect? Like you expect the weather, you plan on this, and then all of a sudden it like randomly starts snowing. Like you said, when you got here, it snowed last night. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, it's October. It's supposed to do that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It typically does snow before Halloween. But yes. So we definitely, I just lost my train of thought.
It happens. We're live. So it definitely, so you do have where it randomly snows.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry.
God, that's got to be surprising.
It does.
So then how do you, when you're doing, like when we do our layouts, obviously we want to incorporate the best views. And like you were just mentioning, if they have views, they have windows.
They have windows, yeah.
So, and unfortunately, a lot of our venues, you know, once you have a venue with windows, the other venues who don't have windows, they really can't compete with it. But how do you have to really work your layout, or do you kind of have like carte blanche on a blank slate because there's so many windows with the sweetheart table and this and that? Do you have a certain layout that works best with certain venues, or do you kind of like have freedom because there's so many windows in the...
I kind of have freedom with it, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I go in there and I'll measure the space, of course, and make sure that whatever we're planning fits well. And the venue coordinators typically say like, well, usually we put this over here, you know, or like we'll put that there.
Yeah.
Just because like that, they know the space and they know what works best. But I always like to go in and kind of challenge it a little bit.
Not only that, it's like creating a whole new, it's like starting from scratch, which is fun. That's where you get the creative juices flowing. Yes. That's where you can put back the business part of it and really have fun with planning.
Oh yeah. Which is my favorite part of it.
So it says, Palm Beach planners advice. What is my advice on planning the perfect beach wedding? I would say plan for the unexpected. You're going to have sand, you're going to have wind. Put your hair up. Everybody who tries to wear their hair down and curled, it looks gorgeous until you step out onto the sand and it goes right into your face, or all your curls immediately fall because it's humid.
Right.
Plan for the unexpected. But I would always say, like, my best advice would be to plan for humidity, plan to be hot. You know, I have weddings who do an outdoor wedding in July, and they're like, it's so hot out here. It's July in Florida. It's going to be hot. Plan for bug spray. Mosquitoes are horrific here. Okay. They are nasty and they're horrific. And they, you know, I always say put a little off spray, off wipes, things like that, bug wipes, little bug bracelets, still little things like that will definitely keep things going for the wedding and keep your guests comfortable. Yeah. Little fans are great. If you do the program
some
fans,
of
those are great. Those are great. And I like to hold them on the bride and groom during ceremony, or not during ceremony, but I'm saying during pictures. But like the fans, the program fans for the beach weddings, things like that are going to be. Welcome drinks are huge. Do welcome drinks, even if it's not alcoholic and just like a infused water station.
Oh yeah.
People love that you thought of them. People love that you know, are taking into account that they may not be from your location and they need that. Yeah. How do you have to do that for the mountains and Aspen and things like that?
Yeah. So I would say hydration is a huge one.
Do you do a lot of liquid IV, or is it fake?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of liquid IV or any sort of thing like that. If you like, I had a couple that had like a little like liquid IV, the individual packets that they sell, like around each person's like table.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. It's thoughtful.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah. So hydration's a huge one. Weather changes, kind of like what I was mentioning, like the weather can come in within like 10 minutes and rain for however long and then be out, you know. So layers is always a huge thing that we recommend, just because after it rains, the temperature is going to drop, especially if you're getting into the night.
How drop?
I would say if you were at like, let's say that we were having a ceremony at 3:00 and the temperature was probably like 80 degrees in the middle of the summer, and then it's going to come in and have an afternoon rainstorm around 4:30, and then by the time the sun sets, you're going to be looking at 50 degrees.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a drop. That's like a very big drop.
Yeah.
So I'm coming to the wedding in a sundress.
And I'm leaving in a coat.
I'm leaving in a fur coat because I'm from Florida. I'm leaving in a blanket.
That's so funny too, because you can always tell who's visiting from like Florida or any of the southern states, because they think that like 50, 60 degrees and they have like a puffer on, and I'm like, it's still kind of hot outside.
Yeah, no. 50 degrees. I mean, 70 degrees, the girls got their Uggs out and they're ready to roll. And it's like one of those, like, we have the hats and we're like ready to, and it's funny because when I moved here, I was kind of like, what are they wearing? Right. And now it's like, it's very normal because we very rarely get to cover our arms and wear pants and things like that. So I shouldn't say we very rarely get to wear pants, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
we wear clothes that are just light. What do you think some key factors are if you're talking to a bride and she's considering, oh, I don't know if I want to get married in Florida or Colorado. What are you some key factors you're kind of advising her on what to do?
I always like to bring in the fact of like what's going to mean the most to you and your fiance when you look back on this moment, like 50, however, 10, 15, 20, however many years from now. Like if you guys have been born and raised in Florida and the beach is a huge thing that you guys do, then maybe the mountains don't really make much sense, you know? But if you were born in the mountains of some other state and then moved away and they're like really special to you and you love the views and you love the mountain lifestyle, then like maybe that's not a bad idea, you know? We can explore that.
I think it's important to, and I always advise my couples, like, there is no right or wrong way. It's your day.
Exactly.
So I think it's important you want the wedding to be reflective of the couple.
Exactly.
And that's the bottom line is, you know, like you said, if you're born in the mountain, I did it again. It's a problem. It's really a problem. We'll have to figure out the adjustment. But I think it's one of those things where, you know, if, like you said, I mean, I was born in Ohio. I lived a small portion of my life in Alabama, but anybody who knows me knows you've seen the videos, you see my weekends, you see my story.
That boat.
I'm on the boat.
On the beach.
I'm at the beach. I'm diving. I'm at Peanut Island, and I'm all ocean all the time. And what's funny is you can tell where someone's from because when I flew out to Vegas or in Colorado, the air is so dry and there's no humidity. I can't breathe. Like my nose is stuffed up. I cannot breathe. And I'm just like, please take me back to the humidity. Whereas you're like, no.
No,
I can't breathe. But I will say there is something to be said about the mountain air being crisp and clean and fresh.
Oh, yes.
Comparatively to the humidity and the denseness of the air here.
Yes.
But I can't breathe. So I remember landing after our wedding MBA in Vegas and I landed in Fort Lauderdale and I was like, thank God. I was like, I could not breathe for 4 days. I was like, this is horrible. Like,
well, it really is dry. Like you have to moisturize everything, your hair, lotion on your body, like the whole 9 yards. Since I've been here, I got here on Saturday. I have not put on any lotion because I get out of the shower and I start sweating.
Yep.
And I'm like, what's going on?
It's in the summertime, especially, it's like house to car to AC office to car to house. Yeah. When you're sitting outside at soccer practice or you're sitting outside, you're melting. And we talk about this a lot because my daughter plays soccer. When her team went to California to play, they played fine. But when California comes to Florida, those poor kids are taking a lot of water breaks and they're not used to the dense air. Our team, like I feel like when they're training in this dense air, it's a totally different training level.
Absolutely.
I used to work out outside because I felt different and I felt like I was training harder than in the AC with a fan on.
Right.
So I think it's so important to note that. I think that I'm so glad you came.
I'm so happy to be here.
I know, this is crazy. Like when we started doing podcasts in Florida and I was like, when you're like, oh, I can come down to Florida. I'm like, wait, what? You live across the whole continental US. Like, how are you going to make it down here?
Yep.
I think that it's important to, I think it's fun. I love that we get our other owners together. We get together.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that I missed about Colorado weddings that I need to learn?
Ooh.
I feel like I want a Colorado coffee table book now just to like, which won't look well on my table because my house is very coastal.
Well, that's okay. You can put it like,
I'll get you a beach one.
Yeah. You give me a beach one and I'll get you a mountains one. Amazing. And it'll be fantastic.
Amazing.
I think logistics is just the biggest thing, but I mean, you'll get that with any or any location you go to. Everybody's going to have, I mean, Lauren has different logistics that she has to deal with than you do that I do, you know. But
it's nice to learn that and know that and kind of learn the different aspects. Like, I was lucky enough to have Sarah and our Savannah, Georgia office owner come to the Bahamas with me. She's like, I want to learn an island wedding.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'll come back for another
She's probably like, nope.
She was like, oh, Bahamas, let's roll. And then she was kind of like, what the hell did I sign up for? Because it is a lot. But it's one of those things. It's really interesting having that aspect of like our offices and how we get to do different things.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you.
Oh, hell.
Because I'm curious about this. What goes into setting up a beach ceremony? Like you are on the beach ceremony. Like, I just don't, well, I mean, I did it, like, I did proposals on the beach when I was an intern with Sarah, but we never did a beach wedding ceremony. Yeah. So, like, do the chairs sink?
So
Like,
the chairs,
how does that work?
chairs, depending on the chairs, we try to do more of the white garden chairs for
Okay.
beach ceremonies because they have a wider base to them. I would always suggest, depending on how much the bride wants to be in the sand, a lot of them don't really want to be in the sand, go barefoot, 100%.
Okay.
Go barefoot or flats, obviously, for safety purposes.
Right.
If you're doing a runner, it needs to be a thick runner because it does get very
Like
sinky.
the sand gets on it and then
It gets sinky and you can't really stake it into the sand.
Okay.
So I would say definitely do like an actual white rug.
Okay.
Some of my brides on the shorter ceremonies do like a burlap runner, which can be very sketchy with a tripping hazard,
Right.
but you can't see it in the pictures and it looks like sand.
Yeah.
Arches and huppas and anything like that, sandbag it because you can't stake it in the ground, but
Yeah.
it needs to be weighted because the breeze on the beach will always be that much heavier
Right.
than any other ceremony location.
Yeah.
The beach is definitely a big difference.
Well, and that's funny too because arches aren't really a thing for outdoor ceremonies up in Colorado because they block the mountain view.
Huh. So you do ground arches, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
I know it's like a big ground arrangement.
We've done ground arches where they're starting to become more popular because the same thing. You're not blocking the ocean view, but we did it in the Bahamas because the water there is like a whole different color.
Oh yeah.
And I love ground arches. I love
Yeah.
repurposing ground arches.
They're so much easier to repurpose than if you were to have like a traditional arch.
You want to do flip-flop baskets on the beach. You want to do
Yeah.
juke rugs laid out for your guests and things like that. They handed out little parasols for their guests, which was super cute.
Yeah.
Little sunglasses for the guests. So things like that are super fun. It looks great in pictures. But just little things to take in, again, the elements of the area that you're in. So that's very
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
I would love to wrap up our podcast of This Takes the Cake. I am Jackie with the Palm Beach office. Please feel free. Follow us on Instagram. Follow our website. Check out our blog. Please feel free to check out our This Takes the Cake. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple. You can follow us. Alex, thanks for coming to Florida.
Thanks so much, Jackie.
I
I'm
have
so
to come
happy
back
to be
I'm
here.
coming out to Aspen
Yeah,
now.
come out to Aspen. I'll have a fur coat waiting for you.
Seriously, you're a puffer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.